Warpurgis-Night 4 is out in Limbus Company, and as usual you have to clear an event in 2 difficulties, as well as complete certain challenges to get all the rewards. I know that some players might struggle with this, so I've decided to make a video on all the missions of this event and how to beat them, so you can get a shiny new accessory to your player card. First of all, let me quickly run through the event encounter itself, so you have an idea of how it works. The easy mission consists of 3 waves with 3 enemies each. The enemies are the new Fruit of Understanding, and even though they all look the same, there actually are differences. The one on the bottom will have the least count on their unique effect. That count lowers by 1 every turn, until it reaches 1. At 1 or 0 count, the Fruit of Understanding will use a unique attack that is unclashable, deals a decent bit of sanity damage and makes them die. The bottom enemy also seems to always have more health than the others, so if you don't want to deal with a special attack, you need to focus that enemy first. On every wave, the decay count is lowered, meaning that you have to get through each wave quicker to not face the special attack. The easy mission ends once you clear wave 3. The hard mission is very similar at first. You face the same 3 waves of enemies, but after clearing the last one, you're presented with a final challenge, the Noon of Violet. This enemy has multiple parts, and will use a special attack that deals 100 true damage from its body, so you once again have to focus the target with the highest HP to win. The fruits are weak to Blunt, Pierce, Gloom, Lust and Sloth, and they don't resist anything. The Noon is weak to the same attack types, but resists Slash, Envy and Wrath. Now that we are familiar with the main parts of the encounter, let's go over some difficult missions and how to beat them. First of all, the speed clears. You need to beat the easy mission in 7 turns, and the hard one in 13. This is very easily doable with a lot of teams, but I find charge teams to be super effective, especially if you sub Lobotomir in for Warp Corp, as the multi-crack identities can rip through the enemies with their skills, Warp Dawn does well against the Fruit, and Otis ensures Clash wins in the early part of the fight. Charge teams also usually have very high damage naturally, so it doesn't take a lot of brain power to beat the enemies quickly with charge. Sinking is another good option, as a lot of the identities have Blunt and Pierce skills, oftentimes with Gloom and Sloth affinity. The debuff itself also helps you out with damage, as the enemies here have no sanity. Giving Mauler Ishmael the captain role here lets her deal good damage and actually inflict ungodly amounts of sinking with her skill 3. A similar mission in nature is completing the fight before any decay skill goes off. This goes hand in hand with the speed clear, as you're not giving the enemy any time to use that skill. As long as you're not making any grave mistakes and focusing the bottom enemy in the 3rd wave, this shouldn't be a problem. The missions that require you to clear the stages with no death, no panics, giving 3 kills to the captain, not letting the captain take too much damage, and killing multiple enemies in 1 turn are all very easy to do and require minimal amounts of consideration. Usually they will be done automatically on your first clear, but you still have to remember about them, as missing even one will force you to waste another module on the event. Now that we're done with the easy stuff, we can go over some actually challenging missions. In a single turn, inflict 6+ debuffs on an enemy. This is a decently tough challenge if you don't have Ringy Sung. If you do, he can cover up to 5 out of 6 debuffs if you put him in the captain slot. For the 6th debuff, I recommend just using any ego skill with a niche debuff like certain affinity fragility or power down. Heathcliff's AEDD is a great choice, as it inflicts both paralyze and gloom fragility, on top of dealing good damage and being cheap, so with a combination of this ego and Ringy Sung on your team, you can do this mission along with the speed clear. Deal effect damage to the enemy. I actually find the hard version of this mission to be easier than the easy version, as you can stack sinking on the hard boss and hit it 18 times pretty easily, while the fruit just keeps dying. The team I recommend for this is sinking with Ringy Sung. Sinking is really easy to stack with the captain buff, and Ringy Sung heals deal burn and rupture damage so you can get this over quicker. Another thing to note here is that while giving the captain buff to Molder Ishmael, she actually becomes too strong for this mission, because she can inflict so much singing that even the boss dies too quickly. Ideally, I recommend keeping her on the team, but giving the captain slot to Yi-Sang, so he can continue to dish out weak but frequent ruptures, while Ishmael uses her normal power to keep up sinking count on the enemy. The special missions for the hard difficulty are also very easy, but you have to pay attention to them in order to complete them on your first try. The captain has to kill the boss, and you need to break all of its parts except the body before winning. The last mission, however, is the one I think most people will struggle with. Killing an enemy with over 80% HP left with one skill, 3 times. This is mainly a gacha check, as both of the new identities have third skills that deal a lot of damage, and the enemies have double weaknesses to both of them. However, I have the misfortune of not getting Yi-Sang from this event, at least for now. This means that I was clearing the mission with only Roshu. While Roshu does have a powerful attack capable of one-shotting enemies, it requires setup. The skill we're looking for here is Serious Skullbuster, the alternate third skill of Roshu. When hitting all heads, this skill consistently deals over 250 damage, which makes it able to one-shot a fruit. The problem lies in the fact that Roshu has to have both 15 penitence and 15 red eyes for this skill to be used, so you need to set up before every attack. This doesn't seem problematic until you remember that Serious Skullbuster inflicts an effect on Roshu called Only Ashes Remain. This effect seriously slows down the setup of her big skill, making you more prone to mistakes when playing for this mission. My way of clearing this mission was as follows. Reroll turn 1 until you have Skullbuster and skill 2 available. You also need another Skullbuster next turn, so you need 2 of them in your first 3 rolls. Use skills 3 and 2 on one of the enemies. The other members of the team focus another enemy, while trying not to kill them outright. The third enemy remains untouched. You can block or evade their attacks, but don't hit them. After you get 15 of both Roshu's effects, hit a Serious Skullbuster on the third enemy. Then use the last turn of the third wave to let Only Ashes Remain stop its effect. You should also use Roshu specifically to finish off the first wave, so you can cycle through her skills faster. Repeat the process on the second wave. As long as you can stagger the bottom enemy, Roshu can take some time to set up, as you're not always going to get 2 skill trees in quick succession. This can lead to not having a free turn after Serious Skullbuster, so be careful. During the third wave, your team will likely be at 45 SP entirely. If that's the case, and you brought a strong team, don't be afraid to have everybody defend and let Roshu do her thing. Once she gets the last kill, proceed as normal. If you have Yi-Sang, I imagine the process is very similar, except you don't need the extra turn before the next wave. Still, I don't have him, so take my words with a grain of salt. He should be able to one-hit kill them with his skill 3, but I personally haven't confirmed that. If you got really unlucky or you don't have any lunacy or tickets saved up, you can use Multi-Crack Faust to deal with the enemies. She gets 4 charge potency really quickly when in the captain slot, and her third skill deals huge damage, as the enemies have double weakness to it. Also make sure to activate her passive, and if you don't trust in her damage, you can always chip the fruit down to around 80 to 90% health to make this easier. After doing all this, congratulations! You now have the ability to show the world that you got all the missions. I hope that this video helped you out, and thank you for watching it till the end. Definitely consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you want more information on Limbus Company content, and comment if you want to learn about something specific. This was Ultranum, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye!